everybody, and welcome back to the Manga Monday Show here on the Weird Science Manga and Anime Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my man, Luke Hollywood. What up, Luke?
What up, Jim?
I just started talking now and realized that I had lost my voice yesterday, and I'm already starting to lose it again. Maybe by the end of this show, I would have also lost all my will to live. And maybe to smile. We shall see, because we end up having what is one of the most depressing chapters of a manga ever. This was a shout out here. Anna Mullix joined the Patreon, so thank you, Anna Mullix, for that, and then sent me a message and said, hey, since I'm on the Patreon now, can I, request a chapter? And I do want to say right away, you don't have to be on the Patreon to do that, but if you are, you do get shuffled right to the front, and that's what this was this week. So I said, oh, that's cool. Yeah, what do you want us to do? What do you want to hear? And it ends up being something that Luke Hollywood said he'd never talk about on this show.
This weeks ago. I was like, we are not doing this, Jim. It's depressing.
When new things come out, especially Jump Plus stuff and all, I end up always asking you, because I know that you'll have been reading about it. Even if it's a number one. Yeah, even if it's a number one, you'll have heard something about it. And I said, what's up with this, Takopi's thing deal? What is this? And you said, oh my God, this is the most saddest, most miserable thing ever. And said, we are not going to do that, because I thought maybe we'll get hot off the presses. A little bit behind the scenes, too, as a joke. We have been talking about adding different books and things like that. So I did end up making a big outline of what we were going to do last week on the Manga Weekly Review Show. And at the bottom, I said, coming soon. And I had Magie Lumiere. I had it on there. But I also had this on there just to see what you would say. Just to see Takopi's original sin right there. And you just laughed about it because I think you knew that I was joking, but I wasn't. That's the thing. Here we go. Because, thank you, Anna Mullix. I hope that everybody, again, Anna Mullix even said, when they send me the message and request it, and then right after say, you might have to give a trigger warning before I'm like,
every warning we can possibly put in front of this.
This is sad.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Me and you, I'm going to try to make light of some things. It's going to be very hard, right? And so with that right now, here is my little, blurb at the beginning here. I think that one of the worst things that could ever happen in life is for a little kid to go to school and be bullied. It happened to one of my sons that ends up having autism, a highly functional autism, but still got bullied. And it broke my heart. And anytime it comes up in comics, movies, or whatever, I tend to really lose it because it makes me so sad just to think of somebody who just wants to be themselves and have friends and whatnot and end up getting just stepped on or whatever. So if I do make some jokes later, it's not because I don't think that this is something bad. It's one of the worst things. There are people in sports and things like that, and if I ever find out that they are, like their charities are for anti-bullying, I'm immediately fans for life. That is one of the things. So when I read this the first time, it really did make me sad. Now with that, each other time, because this is the third time I've read this first chapter, and I've read a bunch of the other chapters as well now, I can only tell you that it makes me feel empty inside. It's not like tears are flowing anymore, but it just makes me feel like there's no, will to live. I'm telling you, I don't even want to make it that bad. It just makes me feel empty.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of chapters that drop, on the Manga Plus, and we're always looking forward to every time. This is the one series every week. When I saw we had, because they dropped them in batches of 4, like it was all you could eat depression. So when this dropped, this is the one series that I was not looking forward to.
Now, as we get into this, you'll give us a little bit of information, but when we get into this and we finish, I mean, one of the things you have to think of going and reading this is the idea of how depressing it is and how empty it makes me feel, at least, right? But is that the purpose? That's the problem. At the end, when we talk about the rating, I think that there's a two-prong rating. Did you enjoy it? Did you have fun reading it? Because no we're not. But did it do what it was supposed to do? And
I don't know what the mind
did it give you, though. But did it give you more emotions than anything that you have read, because really, we read a lot of things and we'll chuckle about them.
But not good emotions.
Well, that's the thing, though. Does it have to be? That's the discussion with us. That's what I think. And so with that, do you think, and this is something for everybody to think about, and please, I mean, maybe go and read this before listening now, because I think that you have to actually read it to actually get the concepts of what we're going to be talking about.
Pain.
Because overall, there's not a ton to the story. So one way, this might be very quick. I don't know. But by the end, it is that emotion deal. And I'll tell you that this compared to, say, a Blue Box, or I'm trying to think of something that we talk about, Dan to Dan, one of my favorites, right? I don't know that I thought more of this stuck with me longer than
not in a good way.
No, but like I said, I don't think that Taizan 5, who's the creator, I don't think they're trying. Obviously, they're not trying to do it in a good way. So that's where you kind of have that deal, and it's almost like a Tom King thing. If you're a DC Comics fan and know Tom King, some people swear by him and love him. But when I'm done, I always feel dirty and sad and upset. But that's kind of what he does. And so it's just a weird deal if you end up having a mission statement and fulfill it 100%. But is that good? I don't know.
Mission accomplished, but at what cost?
Yeah, the cost is just innocence. Innocence lost, because really, throughout all this,
emotional damage.
Moly, give me some info.
Yes, indeed. This is Animal's pick. Came out swinging.
You're going to just keep saying that so people know it wasn't yours. Correct.
Probation. I'm telling you now.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna say the probation is the idea. Now, first off, Mark, he's out. He's out. We kept we were putting him on probation. 3 strikes. I don't even know what game we're playing with him. It's like 7 already. But you get Animalix. I'm telling Animalix right now. You think of another one and suggest you got to come back. With something happy. You got to come back with something to make Luke feel good about himself and life. And that's the probation. The probation isn't you're never allowed to, because we don't actually do that. But the probation is, please give us another suggestion. And if Animalix listens to this right away and gives us a suggestion, it could be next week to try to freshen things up. Get a better taste in our mouth for this. But go with it, Luke. Let's go.
Yes, this is Takopi's Original Sin. Now, we don't know if it's Pi or P. We've been having deliberations. We're going to go with P. Written and drawn by Taizan number 5. May or may not be related to Mambo number 5. I do not know.
I don't know. I wish it was.
I wish it was a banger like that. Oh, boy. First published digitally by Jump Plus from December 10th, 2021 to March 25th, 2022. So just wrapping up this week and time of recording. Thank God. I said, oh boy.
it is a pretty cool deal of synergy there when Animalix suggests it. And I said, well, maybe we'll add it if we read this first one. You're like, it's done this week. I'm like, okay,
I'm done. So relieved.
It didn't last long, right?
No, well, it burned brightly and it burned fast. Oh boy. Taizan 5 has previously done a couple of one-shots, but this Takopi's Original Sin marks their first time that a series has lasted longer than one chapter, going all the way to 16. So maybe they'll even go over U19 on the next one. We'll see.
Maybe it'll be a little happier.
I hope so. But if you've read the whole thing, it's not. I don't think this was cancelled, because by all accounts, I think it's doing pretty well in overseas.
Yeah, I think this was just what it was supposed to be.
The natural running.
Yep. And with that, I don't know how you could go much longer. Like I said, I ended up reading a bunch of the chapters. I just want to warn everybody. It doesn't get happier. It doesn't. It actually might even get worse at points. And that's crazy.
That's
for
crazy.
What we see in this. And you end up anything else. I mean,
that's it. Let's get this
grab
going.
The tissues, because we're going into the issues here. Because it is this idea where you have a cute little alien, and it comes to Earth, and everything is very generic in the way of getting like some tropes and things. Hey, look at me. I'm Happy Ann. I'm from the happy planet. I mean, everything is happy, 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 except everything. Because you end up getting this deal where this little girl finds this alien. She is not smiling. You can see right away that she has some issues. I mean, she's not very happy. the way that the art goes and even the dialogue, I think, plays it out well of somebody who is a little depressed. You can tell, maybe a lot depressed, but ends up finding this little, it looks like a Magu-chan type deal, a little like squid-like octopus alien. And you end up having this very happy alien end up, hey, what's going on? Like I said, I am a happian. I'm on a journey to spread happiness through the universe. P. The P. Well, we won't have to say that every time, but no. I say goodbye to my happy planet. And today I landed on this blue and green planet. But I was in danger of getting captured. I went and hid. And now this girl has found this alien. Now, you already see him. We'll find out very quickly. This girl is sad. I mean, beyond sad. So usually what we're going to get is, oh my God, the little happy alien is going to be able to cheer her up. And they're going to have lots of adventures. I mean, you could go with such things as not even something that's really feel good, but a Chainsaw Man. Something like that, where this girl and this alien, they needed each other. And the idea that this alien is going through the universe to make people happy and has actually found the one girl who really, really needs it the most. The problem is, this alien doesn't understand things. And the girl, Shizuka, is not really going to explain things to him either, because she is either embarrassed, she's just depressed, all these things. And we'll get into what her problem is. But she ends up befriending at least this little alien. Gives him bread. Later, she tries to play it off as if it was nothing because that was just leftover bread from the sandwich. But this is actually something really good for the Takopi, and actually gives the name Takopi to this alien because his real name is Nua Unu Kuf. Oh. And it's some alien name, and she's like, no, I think you look like a Pacific octopus, and that's called a Takopi, so we'll go with that. And ends up giving him that name, and even him, her, whatever, it's a thing, but says, thank you. Oh, that's cool. I see that I do look kind of like that. And you end up having him almost going through this progression of trying to, give us through his eyes the cataloging of the things. Oh, well, apparently, Shizuka-chan is a human, in quotes, of the 4th grade category. So you get the idea this alien doesn't quite know what Earth is.
And he's learning it through her, and perhaps not the best way of learning things.
No, and she's not really up for really teaching anybody. No. So with that, as you do progress, you are waiting to see this girl cheer up a little. And he says, the only thing I really want is to make her smile. That kind of seems to be that MO of Happy Planet. You go off, his mom sent him off. You go off and make everybody happy. And it's something that seemingly they are able to do. This, the power of love and friendship and laughs, whatever. But you end up having this Takopi say, here, you gave me that sandwich. That's really nice of you. Can I thank you for that? What I have here is a happy gadget. These are things that he has. This is part of this alien culture deal, but it is a little ring that makes you fly. You can put it on, it makes you fly, you have fun, you laugh, and then probably he'd just leave. I mean, I think that if she would end up smiling, laughing, that's it. I did it. He's like the Johnny Appleseeds of laughter.
There we go.
If you know what I mean.
I know there's a smile on the face.
Exactly. So she says no. And the worst, this is where you end up having the worst things of what's going on, because she says, no, I'll pass. I have to go buy a new desk mat. And then he's like, but what? Why wouldn't you want to do this? This is the greatest thing ever. You'll have fun. It's so much fun. She then, as I said earlier, she says, hey, don't worry about the bread. She doesn't want to have this thing think, oh, I owe her one. I think she just wants to be left alone. She wants to go off. And I think that this mat thing and everything else might be embarrassing to her. But she says, I don't want to use this thing to fly. Now, usually a kid would, and you're guessing she's, elementary school, junior high, somewhere around there, younger, maybe 12. But somebody like that would love to fly. You would think this is great. She says, I don't need that. Even being able to fly in the sky won't change anything. And then goes to walk off and says, see you tomorrow, leaving, and this is where it starts getting said, leaving Takopi to wonder what's going on. And then you end up seeing her bag, her book bag that she has on her back there. And it ends up having such classics written on it like trash, turd girl, die, Parasite.
Lovely.
I don't think those are K-pop bands.
No.
That's just me. It's
What
already...
members of Blackpink are they?
No, it's not.
Emotional, damn it.
What gets me here, and you start thinking, especially the amount of times you read it and then you know what it is. The idea that bullies have written this on there is sad, right? That's awful. But it's worse because she can't afford another one. She has to keep using that book bag that has that garbage written on it and just go with it, which then makes more people laugh at her. Probably people pointing it out as she's walking. And it starts getting really, really sad at this point. I'm just telling everyone now, watch out. Because
10 pages in.
Yeah, you have this deal where Takopi is trying to figure out, all these things. And
humans can already fly, so she doesn't need to fly.
Because I think that he is with these gadgets, these happy gadgets that he has. Everybody wants to get involved with them. So if somebody doesn't, it's not that they're sad. It's not that they're depressed or something's wrong. It's just that they already did that. Humans must be able to fly. That's why. And really, it's a kind of a cool little concept here in my mind with Takopi sitting there thinking, well, I did see a lot of things flying around here, so I guess everybody flies on this planet. And almost in my mind, is kind of upset with himself, thinking, I should have tried another gadget first. Like this, and that might be the go-to gadget. Everybody would like to fly and have fun. But no, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to end up figuring this out, and we'll figure it out the next day. And so you end up the next day where she goes to talk to Takopi, and they're like a construction site or something, it looks like, and they're in those like big tubes hiding. And when they're hiding, these girls go by and they start to talk about things. Now, you make the connection very quickly of when, it's sad, Shizuka said, I have to get some mats. I got to get a new desk mat. And then you have these girls go by, the mean girls, right? And they're like, oh, did you do what I told you to? Oh, yeah, I ripped that desk mat clean and too. Good. Yeah, wait till tomorrow. We're going to see her with her nonsense. And then you even have this deal where the one girl says...
Third one this week.
Yeah, they just keep doing this, and she has to keep buying them. Oh, well, is she going to run out? Is she going to not have money for these mats? What do we do? No, she'll have all the money because she's on welfare. And they start laughing. And then you go to see Shizuka, and she's just ready to cry. And that's the thing. It makes it, and that's the play of this. Takopi is so innocent.
Clueless.
And, and that's the thing. In my mind, Takopi...
And she can't say, they're bullying me. So, he's going, they sound like they're having a great old time. Let's join in.
Let's join in. It sounds like they want to play a game. And so when you get to this point, you realize that Takopi, in my mind, that's the idyllic version of a kid. That's a kid who ends up, there's no such thing as bullying on Happy Planet.
It's great.
It's just your Happy Planet. Everybody's so...
flying around.
It's such a weird concept to Takopi to think that people would be mean to other people. So when he hears this, oh man, they're laughing it up. We should end up playing games with them. That'd be great. No, I don't think so. And it's just so sad. And then you end up with the next gadget where Takopi says, hey, I got a happy camera. Can you take a picture with me? And they do. They take a selfie. And then you end up having Shizuka look at the camera and say, hey, wouldn't it be better with a smartphone? This is kind of heavy. It's clunky. What are you doing with this? Now, at this point, I thought that you would have Takopi giving gadgets to Shizuka and she'd take them to school and then they'd get destroyed by the bullies or something like that. Or maybe she'd become popular or somebody would like it or whatever. You don't really get that. And what you get, though, is her saying, because, again, depressed. But she says, what's with this camera, whatever. This is the big moment in the whole entire first chapter where Takopi says, oh, it has a special function. It has another special function. Thank God that it has that special function.
We don't learn what it is yet, but it's very important.
Oh my God, yeah, because there you go. You have this picture, and then even in the picture, she's sad. She's just sitting there. But you get the idea when she does go back to him the next day. I mean, this is that next day, so she does at least like to talk to somebody. She does at least. Now, I don't know what she thinks is really going on, because as things are spelled out, she will keep saying to Takopi, I don't believe in magic. I don't believe, but you're there with this alien who has gadgets, right? So I don't know if maybe she thinks that she's so off that it's like an imaginary friend, but it doesn't seem that. But it's weird. But she says, I got to go buy a desk mat. It's going to close soon. And then again, Takopi, just innocent. You have to buy another one? What? And she's like, yup, seems like I lost it again. And you go into her book bag, and she has tons of these. They just keep destroying them. She didn't lose them. And in fact, she didn't even throw them away. They're just there. And she's like, see you tomorrow. And again, heartbroken. I just sit there. I'm like, oh, my God. And so then Takopi says, oh, man, she's really busy. Like, everything that goes wrong here, because of his innocence, he thinks it's something good. He's never thinking bad. It's always positive. Oh, man, she must really be busy. And then saying, while he looks at the picture, I'll definitely make her happy tomorrow. I think that he thinks that she's just too busy to smile or be happy. It's not that, Takopi, please. It's a cry for help. But you end up where you get day 3, day 4, day 5, and he's desperate. He is a gem.
Is he?
Well, he is, because he's trying to make her happy. He just doesn't know. And that's the problem here. Where are all the other people that should know? Where are the teachers or the administrators of the school? Nobody is there to see this girl who's just brutally, bullied. So you end up where he ends up at day 6. Hey, today's happy gadget is great. It's a ball pen that cries like a Saturn rabbit. Oh. Right now, just as a little wink, wink. Pretty much that is how this whole thing ends, with a mention of this gadget. That's way down the line at 16.
And it makes her smile.
Yeah, she's like, oh, look at this. And she says, I have to go straight home. I have to feed Chappie. And, Takopi's like, Chappie? What's Chappie? Oh, well, if you want to come along, you can. And you see that Chappie is her dog. Little mangy dog, whatever. Mm. But the problem is that she's not, her upbringing isn't the greatest either. This house, bit of a wreck at points, and the dog, but it's a dog. And the dog, again, something else that is unconditional love that you don't have, but ends up being the one thing that she likes. She even says that as long as I'm going to get all teary-eyed here, because this is the part, like, the only thing that I like in life, the only thing that is there for me is my dog Chappie. And she starts smiling to Chappie, which then makes Takopi a little jealous. He says, he's like, why couldn't I make her smile? I'm from Happy Planet. And she says, as long as I have Chappie, I will never have any pain. I can let all the pain go. That's all that matters, that I have Chappie. Because again, Chappie, you see, when she comes home, Chappie can't wait to see her. She forgets about all this bullying because it's something there that just loves her. Now, with that, you even have, hey, where's your mom? What's going on? Oh, she's escorting today. And again, just sad on sad on sad. I mean, it never stops. And, what's escorting? Takopi asks. Oh, it's going to a shop with a customer. Now, with that, does she know what I think she knows what it is. But she's trying not to be embarrassed about it and trying to play it off to Takopi, who doesn't understand and thinks, oh, that must be like going to the grocery store or whatever. No, not quite. That's a big part of what goes on later, too, this escorting. But for now, you can just go with the idea. She doesn't have a father. The father's gone. He asks about that, and her mom's an escort, and she just doesn't have anybody. Even when she comes home right now, when she's beat up, dirtied up, whatever, she has Chappie, who just is so happy to see her, but nobody's there to help her. Nobody's there to ask what's wrong. It's just she's there by herself with Chappie. Now, Takopi there as well. But with that, it's a weird play where Takopi starts feeling restless, he says. He has a prickly feeling in the pit of his stomach. And I think that might be that he's starting to realize something, but he just can't because he's from Happy Planet. But yeah, all this stuff where they go out for a walk, it's nighttime, and you actually have, Shizuka opening up to Takopi a little, saying, where's Happy Planet? Can I see it in the sky? Oh, you can't see it from here. It's very far away. But you should come with me. It's great. It has fruit all over.
Oh,
you
great.
Can come and we can play all day, have this, whatever. And she says, I can't go there. And then he says, yeah, you can. It's just a flight quick. And she says, I don't believe in magic. And I'm getting the idea it's not just magic that she means. I think that she actually means I don't believe in anything ever being good. No. Like to her, magic means a happy life, or
she
a place
says,
where
I can't go to anywhere, whether to Happy Planet or to where my dad is. So, like, nowhere is good.
Yeah, nowhere. And so the idea in my mind is that she said earlier, no matter what I do, nothing's going to change. This is just awful depression.
Life.
And then if she goes to Happy Planet, I think that she's worried that if she does, she's just going to be disappointed and that'll be the end, because the idea of where I can't go to where my dad is. At this point, I thought her dad was dead. I thought that maybe he was in heaven, and she was talking about that, and that will lead into something later, but I thought that was the deal. That's not the case. The dad has just pretty much forgotten her and left her with the mom, and just pretty much later,
which might be worse.
Has another family that and has just left them. And if the dad could have stayed or would have stayed, not that it's her fault, but maybe he could have taken her with him and things would have been so much different.
Jerk of the Year award.
I think that she's just like, I can't do this stuff. Like, I don't believe in magic being hope or, happiness. It's
a single
bad.
smile.
Yeah. And then you end up having, even then where you have her say, I can't go there. I can't go anywhere, whether to Happy Planet or to where my dad is. Again, too, probably the mom has probably yelled at her a bunch of times because you probably have, Shizuka saying, can I go see dad? Can I go see dad? Mom, you don't go there. You stop it. Forget about him. So everything's just beaten into this poor little girl. You do see Takopi kind of stop. And, at this point, again, at points he doesn't understand or whatnot, but this makes him stop and actually he's like, what the heck? And then thinks back to what and started all this with him where his mom, Happy Mama, again, like that's the thing. Takopi has never known anything but pure happiness and fun. That's his normal. He can't understand that there would be anything but it. And then the opposite, Shizuka is only the opposite.
Pain.
Has never had anything but pain and misery, and gets to the point where, unfortunately, when people are bullied or abused like this, they start to first off think it's their own fault, but also just take it as the norm. Mm-hmm. The idea that it never could get better. So why even hope? At one point, she probably hoped it would get better. It didn't. And so she thinks it's done. And you end up, though, where you have Takopi thinking, okay, what happened? Okay, hey, Takopi, you're going to go off. You're going to spread happiness throughout the universe. You're going to use these happy gadgets, but you have to be careful. You have to follow the law.
Don't break the law.
What we know in this is it's pretty much like one law that ends up being it. But, you kind of have this and like, okay, I got to follow the law. I got to do this. But he really, really is desperate to make her smile. Remember earlier, she wasn't smiling at all. She smiled to Chappie and he said, I feel a little jealous that I couldn't get her to smile. So I'm telling you, I think Takopi starts to get a little bit, a little contest going on with the Chappie. Yeah. Right. So he really needs her to smile. And then he says, next time I'll be the one to take you to Happy Planet. We have lots of happy gadgets. And then, and she goes, no. I told you, I don't believe in that. And, we won't do that. But he says, he doesn't even stop because I'm going to make you smile, a great big happy smile. And there you go where she's looking. And again, I think that she thinks, oh man, like maybe this thing does like me. Like, but I don't think she can accept it. And, he says, we can't go back right away, but we will someday for sure. And in a weird deal here, which does play out later a bit, she does then smell him and say, you are odorless, huh? And he's like, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, it was funny. Even we didn't say at the beginning when Chappie first saw Takopi ended up grabbing him and trying to eat him and stuff. And it was kind of fun. But you end up having Shizuka say, I got to go home now, but see you tomorrow. Now, this is where...
This is one of two, there is two brutal page turns. And the next one's worse, but this one ain't great.
This one isn't great because here is the thing where there's Shizuka and Chappie. I'll see you tomorrow. And you almost get the point where in a normal, or at least an uplifting manga, something happy, the next deal will be the progression of seeing that she's actually starting to be a little happier. She has a friend, it might be an alien from Happy Planet, but it's still a friend, somebody who is accepting her, just like Chappie, whatever. You turn, and I don't know which is more upsetting. She got the crap kicked out of her. She is completely covered in bruises and blood. Her whole... The thing is dirt. That's bad. That makes you want to cry. she's holding Chappie's, his collar.
The empty collar.
Chappie's gone. She already said earlier that no matter what happened, the only thing that could get her through that is Chappie. And as long as she has Chappie, she'll never have a problem. What happened to Chappie? We don't know in this chapter, but Chappie's gone, and she's just there, and she does go to see, Takopi. And he doesn't understand, because he doesn't. He says, oh, what's going on? What happened to you? I have a special gadget for you. Why does your face have all those marks on it? And what's going on with Chappie's neck thing? What's happening? And, I got in a fight with a friend, she says. And again, the heartbreaking thing of this is that Takopi, in his mind, you could just imagine the fights that you would have on Happy Planet. The fights may be fighting someone because who's going to pay for the meal? Like, no, I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay. That is the worst. Or, hey, I want to give you a present today. No, I want to give you a present. Like, these would be the worst things. So he ends up saying, I have a gadget for you, and explains and this could work. This is the worst part, is if she would do this, it would work, because I don't know how she's going to play it off or pull it off, but all you have to do is it's called a patch it up ribbon, very cutesy. And you get this ribbon, and the people who are having an argument, you tie it onto a finger of each person, and then they suddenly become friends again.
The pinky
they don't have that, fighting anymore. That's resolved.
It's just that easy.
Says, hey, can you do that? Also says it can extend, and also it's very, very strong, right?
That's useful information, but not for the right reason.
And she says, that's nice. I actually want to use it. This is the first kind of gadget. Now, yes,
she's taking interest.
He took a picture of her, but she wasn't that interested in that either, and even made fun of the camera. But this is the first time he's excited. Like, what? You're going to try it? All right, this is going to be great. We should hurry up, find your friend. She goes, no. I'm going to see if it works first. Can I just borrow it? Can I take it home with me tonight and borrow it? And then we'll do that tomorrow. We'll figure it out, and then we'll use it. That's against the law. That's the law that he's not supposed to break. The happy law is that all of the gadgets have to be done in the presence of a Happian, and you can never, ever leave a happy gadget in the hands of an inhabitant of another planet. Now, I think usually that might be the fail-safe so that these people don't go off and do, nefarious things with it. Not exactly what happens here, but just the idea that they could steal it. They could try to do something, maybe, something like that. Because
for unhappy methods.
Yeah, and at points, you would think that Happy Planet, they understand that the most of the universe is miserable and awful, and it probably is.
There's a lot of less happier planets.
But that's why they send them out to go and make everybody happy. But you can't trust them. They're always going to be misery. But he's so excited that she likes it.
He let this one slide.
He's going to let that slide and says, hey, if you have anything that you need, any sort of info that you need to use it, come and ask me anytime, whatever. But yeah, check it out. And then, I hope you can patch things up with your friend. And she's like, yup, bye-bye. She says goodbye. Now, the weird thing about this is, seriously, go back. She never really said goodbye.
She said, see you tomorrow.
She says bye-bye here. Holy moly.
Emotional
damage. You end up where the next day, there's Takopi. I'm like, what's going on? Like, she never showed up. I'm starting to get a tad bit worried. And he's worried also about, breaking the law as well. Maybe something didn't go quite right. But he says, I'm not worried about whether she got to patch things up with her friend, but I'm worried that, that the ribbon will be extended so much. Like, it got out of control. She's going to need help to clean up afterwards. Like, this is like the most nicest thing.
It got all tangled.
It couldn't possibly be anything that bad, right? I mean, It might have gotten tangled, and I'll have to untangle it because she might not know how to do it. He goes to her house.
Lets himself in.
Chappie, he's not there. We already figured that he wasn't, but even he would know. Oh, Chappie, he's not in his doghouse. Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to have to help her untangle. Hey, Shizuka, are you in there? Goes into the house and really, I'm serious. It is so
my goodness
miserable.
Oh, jeez.
She hung herself. She committed suicide. He goes into the house, which is a wreck.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a double page spread. Half the page is the house, filthy, disgusting house, and then the other page, half of the page is just her.
She is
and
hanging.
That ribbon.
Yep, she committed suicide. She hung herself. She's dead. He's not going to save her here.
Nope.
She's dead. He doesn't understand it. And it starts to remind me of when you have animals and they don't understand, so they go, and even if it's another animal, they'll go and lay next to it and try to figure out, like, why aren't you, what are you sleeping? What do you pretend? And he goes and's like, hey, Shizuka, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? There's no point in tying that. Thinks that, wait a minute, you didn't have a fight with that banister up there. Why'd you tie it to that? Oh, no. And he starts to push her, and you just see her feet just to really lay it in.
That's perhaps the most grim. Oh, my God.
He gets her down, and boom, the thing comes down, and she just lays there. She's dead. He says she's dead. Why? How? Why'd she die? What's going on? The ribbon was around her neck. Oh, my God, I thought she was going to patch things up. And then he starts thinking, the law never, ever leave a happy gadget in the hands of an inhabitant of another planet. And he thinks, and this is where I like the idea that Takopi is not like, oh, my God, if somebody finds out, I'm screwed. Like, he actually thinks
the jig is up.
Yeah, he thinks that she died because he broke the rule. He's blaming himself.
She did.
Yeah, because he thinks, it was me who let this happen. And oh my God, I'm sorry. And all that throughout the universe, they do say death comes equally for all. No method exists to overturn it. Knowledge creates many gadgets, but there are no means to resurrect those who have already died. But there is, because he ends up saying,
I don't know,
luckily,
is there like another rule? Is like rule number 1, don't share the gadgets. But I have to, like, if the happy police find out what he's done,
I think that he's already screwed. So he's like, whatever. Because what happened earlier, he took the selfie with Shizuka, and that is a time-traveling camera.
Oh.
And again, you could sit there and say, like, some comments are like, really, that's crazy, hokey, whatever. But
at this stage, you're thankful something
and it's
good
an
exists.
alien with gadgets. So it works. So he's like, you can go back, the special function that he mentioned earlier that she really didn't care about, that you can go back to the moment that you took the photo. The photo actually, and luckily, that camera only takes one picture. Just imagine him. He's like, I'm going to take a picture of that fountain over there.
Or maybe like, oh, whoops, that was just a test shot of my thumb. Oh, let's go back to that.
You have this where he says, you go back to the moment you took the picture, he loads it back up to the camera, and boom, and then ends up going through this idea. And again, just to make you even more upset before this, it's like, hey, it's been 7 days since I landed here from Happy Planet, and there's a solar system on the third planet called Earth. Here exists intelligent life to humans. It seems that, in your words, taking one's own life is called suicide. Why does that exist? Why did you commit suicide? I don't know the answers. He wants to find out what's going on here. Mm-hmm. He's starting to actually realize something is wrong, that I want to know why you did this. Not necessarily knowing that it might be bullying, whatever, but wants to know what's going on. So he hits the camera and says, and as he's doing that, says, I'm going to make you smile. That is, and so at this point, it just happened after a suicide of a little girl. You kind of get a little bit of hope with what's like, okay, that was a weird way to get to this point of, I'm going to figure out how I can stop this. It's the trope of keep going back, repeating. It's Groundhog's Day, but with a little girl being bullied and suicide. I don't need that.
Groundhog Day, but like stakes times a
Holy
million.
moly.
Raise the stakes here.
Seriously. Groundhog Day of suicide and nonsense. I don't understand why we're doing it. So you end up where he goes and does all this. And he does pop back. And you have the deal where even Shizuka says, well, you just kind of freezed out for a moment. Like, what happened? That was that boom, back in time deal.
There you go.
There she is. She's back. Thank God. But she's like, okay, I'll be leaving now. Exactly what happened there. But he's got to change things. He's more of an observer and he says, listen, starting tomorrow, we're going to change things up. I really want to come to school with you. I want to come to school and see what's going on with you. And then it says, next chapter, they're off to school. Can Takopi fight against destiny? So you do, by the end, have that glimmer of hope of the idea that eventually what is going to happen here after that awful, awful misery of this first chapter, it's going to start picking up where he is going to be able to, with his gadgets, change her life all around. The problem is that you almost get the idea in this that some things like, you even have Shizuka say at the one point, why even bother? Nothing ever changes. So it does get worse at points, and it does go up and down, whatever. And then when it ends, it kind of ends with one of the happiest moments of the deal, but it takes something a little sad to get to there as well. And, you have things going on, as you told me, like murder and nonsense.
Great
and,
times.
Stuff like that. So it is really sad. It really is. And this is a misery, the fest of a first chapter.
I don't think we've ever, we've had some doozies. I mean, we did the Promised Neverland, To Your Eternity. Great times. But
those get me sad, but this is just
something else.
Yeah, this really is. Again, we'll go back to what I said at the beginning. It seems like that's what it's supposed to do. I mean, this guy ends up saying, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make everybody miserable," and then not really cheer them up later. Anyway, but for this first chapter, you are supposed to be just utterly just devastated by this girl's life and what is going on, and they led her to commit suicide, but he able to be, changed up by this alien. So with that, I think that it does a great job. But the idea of enjoying it and why I read manga is to try to get away from some things and stuff like that. And it's funny too, because when you go through this, there's that classic thing where people will get on Twitter, Reddit, and start yelling about politics in comics. Oh, I hate when politics are in comics because that's what I try to escape. And then you end up somebody coming back, well, I see you're an X-Men fan, but that was always about politics and things like that. You just didn't know it, dummy. And you have that. There's not a point where I would get on and say, oh, my God, this is so miserable, and I didn't need it. And somebody go, well, they're always miserable.
It's always about the suicide.
Yeah, it's always about suicides and kids being bullied. And it's just so I'm shocked. And I think that if this was done in the West, I know for a fact that at the end you would have a little disclaimer that you have thoughts of suicide.
You'd have that in the front. You'd have that in the back. You'd have this probably sealed. Like, kids wouldn't be able to read this. That's what I think is crazy. It is like, you can read this on the app, and you could just go right by and like, no limitations. You can just hit it, no problem.
This should have a couple disclaimers. This should have a disclaimer for that. It should have a disclaimer that if you or anybody you know are being bullied, I mean, this should have tons
we talk
of things
about stuff
going
getting
on.
locked on the Shonen Jump app. You have to use the web. This is prime example. Number one, this should not be on the app for people can just not that it should be available for free, but there should be some sort of warning.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's depressing.
It nuts.
Really is. And I think that the play here, and, as much as we can say Taizan 5, I think the play is that you keep going on and on with this, hoping it gets nicer, hoping it gets, hopeful. And
how worse can it get?
And I think that that's his play of the idea of,
infinity.
You kind of get strung along trying to wait because you do feel for this girl. I mean, you can't help but it. And I'm telling you, I like Takopi. I think that he is just trying to do what he does, and he just wants her to be happy, whether that's like in his heart or just what he's supposed to do, his mission statement. But I do think that the play is the idea, hey, it looks like a cutesy little kiddie manga where this little alien teams up with this girl and solves her problems and things like that, and then plays off it in the worst dark way. But I just don't know, because you start reading the other chapters and you get to a point where you're just like, I'm sorry there, Shizuka, but I can't hang with you anymore. It's just, this whole thing is just miserable. And when you close it, you sit there and say, I just hope that somebody doesn't have a life like that. I mean, you read manga and kind of like, oh man, I want to be this. Like, just to imagine if Maruo and Ayashimon, this is what I want to be in a manga, and this is what he ends up like. Manga. Holy moly, this is going to work out. I can't do it. Like, holy crap! But yeah, overall, like I said, it's a weird score. If I give it a score of what I think they're trying to do, I mean, it could be a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
But in my enjoyment type deal, I'm even going to give it a benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give it a 6, just because, because I do think that it is something that they're trying to do something. They accomplish it. It does stick with you. And you almost have to read at least the next chapter hoping that things suddenly get better. They really don't.
But it's not the type of hook where like, oh, I'm so excited to see what happens. It's dread. You are dread reading
Just think
this
of that.
book.
Yeah, we talk about two things in first chapters: world building and character development.
Mm-hmm.
You find out about everything is miserable and the world's awful. That's where you are.
You don't want to know more about either of those things.
I sit here and you will read a post-apocalyptic manga where everything has gone to hell and that is more hopeful.
Oh, it's great.
But again, is that the play? I mean, if you go with the idea too, like you end up having something like Don't Blush, Sakeme-san, which we go and read every week, or Tis Torture.
Tis Torture is like the exact opposite.
We read it to smile. That's it.
Purely constructed to make you happy.
And it doesn't even have a plot.
Purely constructed to make you feel sad,
empty. I'm telling you, empty. I feel like, because when you get done, again, could I make this that it ends up being a higher score? So, because when I get done this, I feel I feel empty because I can't do anything about helping this little girl.
No.
I can't. I mean, it's a manga, but the idea that then I start thinking that there are people at this moment that feel exactly like that, and I can't do anything about it.
Maybe they just need a happy gadget or two.
Yeah, I mean, some of these, it's sad to say, they just need somebody to pay attention to them once or be happy and give them a hug. I mean, you can't do that nowadays. You can get in trouble. But the idea of somebody that maybe, sees there's a problem and tries to help.
I don't get because that kind of happens later on. I don't understand the game plan in this, because you have Takopi and yeah, he's like the happy guy from the happy plan, but he is so tone deaf that I just
don't think he can. It's no concept of him.
I know, but because as the audience, you see how terrible this is. I just can't get behind.
That's the problem,
because he's so tone deaf.
He is, but again, he's an alien. And maybe that's a better, like sometimes
that's the idea, like that's the prime idea of the plot. So that's all intentional, but it's just so warped. I don't understand.
It's the weirdest deal of maybe one of the most realistic aliens we've had in any manga. Because usually they come down, and you end up, hey everybody, what's going on? They know everything. They speak the language, all that. And this, he just knows happiness, and she has none. So he has no idea.
And if this was any other type of story, like this seems like a prime gag comedy material.
That's the problem. I mean, that's what. And again, I think that he sets it up. I hate to say brilliantly because of how miserable it is, but he knows what or they know. I don't know if it's a guy
like
or girl.
Odd couple.
They know what they're doing here. Yeah, because you end up having the cutesy little, and really not much to Takopi, which then makes him like that cute. He could be a plushie doll right there. You could have.
It's almost like a different art style compared, and like we look at the art very like, I wouldn't say realistic, but like very heavy lines, and then he's just like this bubbly little annoying thing that floats around the place.
It's like it's like Pokemon, but instead of catch them all, you gotta kill them all. I don't even know.
That's great.
You gotta depress them all. But what would you give it?
Like we score these books, like it's always our personal score on how much we enjoyed reading it, and I think a big kicker here, because we've both read this multiple times now before we've got into this. This isn't one that lasts as well on the rereads. We were talking about some like books like it feels like it's on a completely different planet to this book, but Fire Force that we did a couple of weeks back, and how on the rereads it actually enhances. This has the opposite effect. You lose the shock factor pretty quick here, and when you see it coming, it does not hit as hard. Obviously, it's going to be the case with any.
When I first read it, I'm telling you, and the first bit, with the first shock, I'm telling you, I was more upset when I saw her beat up and had that collar than I actually, because I realized before that page turn, I said to myself, she better not have killed herself. And then it wasn't even a shock. It was just sad. But
because you go in, like everybody, even I knew this before going in. I heard,
that it's misery.
I heard that there was some troubles, so I was bracing myself. In the Slack
channel, that's all I heard when this came out. Clay, I think he's like, "Holy crap!" I feel like I need to go and get therapy.
So you're going
right now,
ready for the gut punch, but then when it hits twice. It hits with the collar, and then the splash page. That's the KO. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I mean.
I don't know. I just can't. I can't recommend this. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly, like, unless you have to be in some mindset to sit down and read this book. I'm trying to read this on the bus. That's an experience.
I think that you better, if anybody hasn't read it and they're like, oh, well, I'm going to check it out. Make sure you have something after that to read that makes you happy.
Do not if you do a little bit of light reading before bedtime, you're not going to be able to sleep. You're
just going to be upset. I almost had Tanya read this. I almost had her read it. And the problem is, she hasn't read any manga, so I don't need that.
This is not your go-to, try this out.
First off, she'll start off by like, I don't understand how this progresses, and then I'll get angry at her.
Back to left to right.
Yeah, she wouldn't get that, but I think she, I don't know, because she has, some issues with depression and stuff like that, and some bad things that happened to her as a child. So
you look at the comments here, like this has clearly had a emotional impact. And from what
that's why I said it's hard to rate it low. You still haven't given your score. I hear you telling this because I know the score is going to be brutally low. But it's just what you already said. We score them in what we like and enjoy
our
and
personal
whatnot.
taste. And clearly this has had a positive impact on a lot of people. But hand on heart, I cannot tell people to go read this. I'm hitting it with a 6.
Okay, so you're at the same score as me.
But a 6 is not good.
I think you really want to give it a 3. You just are trying to be nice. My
personal score, I'd give it like a 4. Do not go 10 feet near this book.
No, it's sad. It really is. It really is sad. And I wish that at one point it turned around to kind of make it a little happier. I mean, at points it might, but it's just misery after misery. But I'm glad we got to talk about it. We had some fun, with this misery. Thank you, Animalix. Like I said, suggest something happen. It'll be funny. Like the next thing will be, have you ever, guys ever, and there'll be another one. I'll be like, I'm done. I'm crying. I'm not crying. You're crying.
Because most of the stuff on Manga Plus has all been very happy. We like even more the cutesy stuff, like Time for Torture and the book of the year, even if you slip my mouth. And then up against this, it's like chalk and cheese.
And with that, I know that it ended this week, but in the rankings, even on Manga Plus, this was always rather high in my mind. That's why I kept thinking, maybe we should talk about it. And that was before I read it. And then I read, I'm like, oh my goodness. And then it was just odd that week, and Animalix suggested. So here we are.
It all came together.
It is a bunch of spots above in the rankings. And even if you slip my mouth,
crazy
guy's crazy favorite there.
Oh my God.
But yeah, holy moly. That is that. We got done.
Experience.
We are done. But yeah, thanks, Animalix, again. And anybody can suggest anything at any point, and they go on the list, and then we decide, when we jump up with them. We had a plan at one point where we were going to do maybe some, Western versions, kind of like the Deadpool deal. This coming up, and I think that coming up next week, I have an idea of maybe what we'll do with that, but we'll see. But thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for, again, Animalix, for joining the Patreon. We really do appreciate that as well. Now I'm going to go and cry myself to sleep, probably.
Great.
Actually, I'm going to go eat dinner, then I'll cry myself to sleep.
Sounds like a plan.
That is that. Thanks for joining me, Luke, and we will talk to everyone next Monday.